Hello everyone. Today we're going to take a look at some basic properties related to real numbers. We have 5 that we're going to take a look at. The first one is the commutative property. And basically this property says that the order you add numbers in doesn't matter. So if we have 2 real numbers, a plus b, it's the same as b plus a. So for example, 3 plus 6 we know is the same as 6 plus 3. So that's the commutative property of addition. We also have the commutative property of multiplication, which also says the order you multiply numbers in doesn't matter. So for example, 4 times 2 is the same as 2 times 4. This is the property that made it very easy for you to learn your multiplication facts and addition facts a little more quickly. However, I want to put a note of caution here, right? And that is that subtraction and division are not commutative. The order that you subtract numbers in matters, and the order that you divide numbers in matters. So subtraction and division are not commutative. So be careful about that. They're not commutative. The order you subtract and the order you divide in matters. So the next property we're going to take a look at is the associative property. And the associative property is the property that has to do with grouping. Think about who you associate with. So we could, if we had 3 numbers, we could add the first 2 together and then add the third, or we could add the second and third number together and then add the first. For example, 3 plus 4 plus 5, which gives us 7 plus 5 or 12, is the same as if we group the last 2 together. If we group the 4 and 5 together, we get 3 plus 9, which is also 12. And the associative property also holds true for multiplication. So if we have 3 numbers that are being multiplied together, we could group the first 2 together and multiply those, and then multiply the result by the third number. Or we can multiply the second and third number together and then multiply by the first number. So for example, we could do 3 times 2 times, let's say, 6, and we'd have 6 times 6. Or we could do 3 times 2 times 6 and do the 2 and the 6 together in our first group, multiply those together first. But either way, notice that we get the same answer here of 36. All right, let's take a look at 3 other properties. We have what's called the reflexive property, the symmetric property, and the transitive property. The reflexive property is kind of like a reflection. It basically says a number is equal to itself. So for example, 1/2 is equal to 0.5, or we could say 1/3 is equal to 0.3, repeating. So those are examples of the reflexive property. Not so much important in algebra, but it will be important in geometry. The symmetric property says if A equals B, then B equals A. And if you have solved equations in the past, you might end up having an answer like this at the end, and you don't like how that looks. You like having your x on the left side, so you might rewrite it like this. That's using the symmetric property. And last but not least here, let's look at the transitive property. The transitive property has 3 parts to it, and they're linked together. The transitive property says if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. This actually also holds true for inequalities. Let's look at the transitive property in terms of an inequality. If I tell you that 5 is greater than 4 and 4 is greater than 3, then you automatically know that 5 is greater than 3. So that's an example of the transitive property. Let's move on to 2 quick examples here to finish up. these two examples show us how to use the commutative property. The order that you add numbers in doesn't matter. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to combine what are referred to as like terms. The A and B are not like terms, but the 3 and 4 are like terms. So I'm going to reorder this and say A plus B plus 3 plus 4, and that will allow me to combine the 3 and the 4. So we can say A plus B plus 7. Over here, I really want to multiply the 4 and the 5 together, so I'm going to order these this way. I'm going to have 4 times 5, and then the x times the y. So the order we multiply numbers in doesn't matter. That's the commutative property. And we actually have parentheses here as well, so we're grouping these in a different order as well. But when I do this, I can multiply the numbers together out in front, the 4 and 5, and simplify this to 20x times y. That's it for this screencast. Make sure that you do the survey online at tinyurl.